Hello, my name is Dr. Michelle Maidenberg. Hope you're all well. Today we're going to talk a little bit about loneliness. And loneliness doesn't mean that you're alone. It means that you're feeling lonely, which is different because some people may be with others but still feel lonely. So there's a number of people that I'm working with and also people that I know that are in that situation. For example, there's a person who I'm very friendly with, who lives in the city, whose husband is an ER physician. And currently, unfortunately, he's been out of the house for around more than 3 weeks. He's been in a separate apartment in Manhattan because of having to be at the hospital. And very unfortunately, very recently, he did catch COVID-19 and has to be quarantined. So it's, we don't know when he'll return back to the house with his family. But his wife, who is my friend, is home with 3 young children under the age of 5. And she's not able to work and has to take care of, her children or their children, on her own, and is feeling extremely lonely, which you could imagine, having that responsibility, how challenging that is. I have another friend who's 97, and she's actually a very close friend of mine and has to be quarantined in her home. She's self-sufficient, independent, which is wonderful, but she's not allowed to have any visitors because of obviously being at very high risk. I spoke many times about my grandmother, who's in a nursing rehab facility, who's also alone. And then all of those unfortunate people who are hospitalized and are either sick or quarantined at home and can't be obviously interacting with their loved ones. And like I said, there are people who I know, who I've spoken to as well, who are with others but still feel very lonely, whether it's because it's not their people, it's because it's not exactly where they want to be spending their time. So for a number of different reasons. And even those, I have a college age young adult that I'm working with who talks, about her profound loneliness of not being with her friends. So it comes in all different variations where we could feel that way. And even intermittently while we're with our families, because we're not able to go out or be with friends or socialize in the way that we want to, even though, again, we're not alone, we could still feel, lonely, at times. So this is really kind of connecting to the loneliness that some of us are feeling because of the lack or denying, the human connection that we've been talking about. So I'm going to give you some self-compassion exercises to be able to work through and cope through this, lonely feeling. And it could come up sporadically. We could just feel that way in a given moment. And some of those exercises have to do with touch. And interestingly enough, we never really learn, if you think about it, how to be self-compassionate. Nobody ever teaches us that. So when we're younger and we're sad or feeling anxious or whatever the case is, typically our parents are not necessarily taught how to teach us to be self-compassionate. They want us to feel better, so they may tell us, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Or they may try to, inadvertently talk us out of our feelings or try their best to support us so that we're feeling better. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the feelings go away or that we do feel better. So often we need to be self-compassionate. We need to be able to provide compassion to ourselves because there is 99% of the time a very valid reason for feeling the way we do. And nobody can really feel the feelings on the level and extent in which we do, even our parents or even those who love us and who are there to support us. And we could be the best person to provide that support because we know ourselves really well. So I'm going to teach you how to give yourself some compassion. And you could use these hand motions, I'm going to say, but the point is, one, to acknowledge the feelings, whatever they are, whether it's I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling fearful, right? I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry, whatever it is. So to identify those feelings, and then you could even, sometimes it's helpful to close your eyes because it gets you really in touch with those feelings on a pretty deep visceral level. And then you could kind of express, oh, I'm feeling this way because, right? Or these feelings are getting evoked because. And if you can't connect to it in the moment, which happens sometimes you could be overcome with feelings and then it doesn't occur to you later on. I know that happens to me. What exactly is the impetus for the feeling? And that's okay too. You could just have compassion for the feeling, even though you can't identify the reason for it. But if you can, you would just say, I'm feeling this way because, whatever reason it is. And then to sit with the feelings and give yourself compassion. So it's giving you the support and compassion that you need, or, that you haven't gotten from others in a given moment. So without further ado, there are certain things you could say to yourself, and I'm going to repeat what those are. Okay. Sometimes it's a mantra so I know for myself, and I've said this before, saying like, I'm okay, is really helpful, because sometimes it feels like it's a little bit of a spiraling, or it feels kind of like unsettling, or a lack of groundedness. So you could say something like, may I be connected to others, or may I be kind to myself, or may I live in peace, or may I be free. It's the words that you most need to hear in a given moment, and find what that is for you, because for each person that'll be different, of course. So the second thing I really want to show you some hand motions, which really help, in a given moment. And one thing which is important to know is when we look at children, for example, who've had extensive adversity, maybe abuse, neglect, whatever the case is, there are those who thrive and those who persevere, and those, who end up, again, being in a position where they really kind of adapt to their surroundings, or cope as best as possible, and also thrive in life. And there are those, who don't. And the difference between what we found, according to research, is the difference between them is, one is their ability to connect to somebody, and it could be anybody through the course of their life. It could be a teacher, a coach, anybody, a friend, and self-belief, and their ability to be compassionate towards themselves. So even if they didn't get it from others, that they have the ability to do it for themselves. So you could cup your hands over a fist and over your heart. So here's an example, right, where you would cup your fist, right? And even just holding your heart and saying one of those words like, may I be at peace, right? Or, I understand why I'm feeling sad right now, because I haven't been with my friends for so long and I really miss them. And because I care so much about my friendships, this is going to be painful for me. This is going to be enduring, right? Because of your higher order values. You could also put one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly and just hold that. And again, I like to close the eyes because it really kind of hones you into that space. Yeah, you could have two hands on your belly, two hands on your chest, and even just kind of, giving yourself, again, a little bit of generosity, while you have your hands on your chest. Caressing your hands is really helpful, right? It could be a hug, right? Just gently rubbing your arms and really feeling it, like actually grounding yourself and feeling yourself, giving yourself that hug, putting your hands on your cheeks, right? And being able, just to hold your cheeks and feel the warmth. Stroking your arms. You could even stroke up and below too, which is also really nice. Okay. Also, tenderly cupping your hands or holding your hands or even rubbing them together is really nice, right? Or even putting it on your legs and just gently rubbing your legs or your knees, your thighs. So those are some, self-compassion exercise that I wanted to be able to teach you in moments where you're feeling maybe exasperated or, like we said, lonely, or having like a strong emotions that you're overcome with. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. And again, wishing you safety and health.